We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. California challenges federal threat to cut $4.9 billion in education funds, defending transgender student privacy law. Meanwhile, a judge temporarily blocks federal enforcement.
Reverend Jesse Jackson dies at 84, leaving a legacy of hope, civil rights leadership, Rainbow Coalition, and generations inspired toward justice.
Community activists defied federal removal and restored the pride flag to the Stonewall National Monument, reaffirming LGBTQ resilience, visibility, and intergenerational commitment.
More queer women, especially lesbians, are buying guns for self-defense amid political hostility and violence, including the ICE killing of Renee Good.
Conservative strategist Rick Wilson condemns MAGA as declining and driven by fear, arguing that culture war losses and failed Republican redistricting strategies are backfiring. All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached more than 11 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There's no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Tuesday, February 17th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Hotspots Happening Out is a proud beneficiary of the 2026 Florida AIDS Walk. Standing strong by our healthcare pillar, funds raised are matched dollar for dollar in support of HIV policy reform and educational programs, including our MSM conference. We invite you to donate and join us on March 21st to walk in support of the Hotspots Happening Out teams.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro. An inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame, Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
Always happy to be at the table, especially with a fantastic group of co-anchors such as this one. And if you be my friend and kindly read my favorable review of Pillion in the current issue of Out South Florida. You can read it in print or online at outsfl.com.
Let's welcome anchor Brian Bender. Brian is a lifelong South Floridian, Broward County teacher, community volunteer, and leader, and on the Education Advisory Board of Fort Lauderdale. Brian, trans-inclusive group and Save Hold Cocktails and Collabs fundraiser on February the 20th. Tell me what's happening.
Community connection and collaboration takes center stage at Cocktails and Collabs, a special fundraiser presented by Trans Inclusive Group and Save. Join supporters on Friday, February 20th from 7 to 9 p.m. at UNCS, UNCS, in Wilton Manors. Guests will enjoy an evening of music, light bites, libations, while supporting initiatives that empower and uplift the LGBTQ+ community. This gathering offers a relaxed social atmosphere perfect for networking, meeting community leaders, and celebrating shared advocacy goals. Attendance is limited, so early responses are really encouraged. RSVP at save.lgbt/cocktails to reserve your spot and be part of this meaningful night. And I just want to say it really is going to be a meaningful night. We are celebrating and supporting our Black and brown transgendered brothers and sisters in the community. We are going to all get together in a spirit of collaboration and love, and that's what
Hence
the world.
the name.
Yeah, that's what the world really needs right now is collaboration. You know, we all need to be collaborators for a greater project, and that project is coming together and supporting each other. And, you know, Save and Trans Inclusive are really doing a great
amazing
job with
organizations.
that.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
are.
They really are.
And even the event itself is a collaboration.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I always love it when organizations come together unified for a single cause. I think that we have to do that in order to be able to move forward. We have to support each other.
We're stronger together than
Oh,
we
yeah,
are apart
absolutely.
separately.
Connection, community, that's how we're surviving. Always have, always will. So every opportunity like this is amazing.
Absolutely. And I look forward to seeing you there, and join us for some cocktails, and we're going to have a really great time.
Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Trans Inclusive Group and Save's Cocktails and Collabs fundraiser on February the 20th. Let's welcome anchor Cindy Brown. Cindy has been an activist for the LGBTQ+ community for 35 years, working for or serving on many local nonprofit boards. She served as the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride and currently sits on the LGBTQIA advisory board for Miami-Dade County. She also runs her own consulting company, Synergy, for nonprofits, helping with finance, strategic planning, board structure, grants, and more. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Always good to be here with you fine gentlemen. Looking forward to a great evening, talking about the news and how we can make the world better.
Us.
We can.
We can.
I believe it.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Bishop Durrell Watkins, the senior minister at Sunshine Cathedral, one of the most important LGBTQ churches in the world. He is an auxiliary bishop of the Global Justice Institute and the current president of the Divine Science Federation. Welcome to the show, Durrell.
I'm always glad to be here. I try to make it a couple of times a month, and those are just lucky days for me. I want to tell you, tomorrow begins Lent. This is Fat Tuesday, which was my old drag name. But this is Fat Tuesday, and tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, which kicks off the season of Lent, which is the season before Easter. And so we're having an Ash Wednesday service tomorrow. Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, right here at the Sunshine Cathedral. It'll be at the Sunshine Cathedral pub, because why not? And so we're having our service in the pub. And then the Sundays following, between next Sunday all the way to Easter, That's the time of Lent, and you're welcome to all of those. But you want to kick off Ash Wednesday with us for sure. And I know it's like solemn and you know, a lot because it's about death or whatever for most people. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it at all. In fact, when I ask you, I will say you are made of earth dust, stardust, and fairy dust. It's an affirmation, and it's just about like because the Easter is ahead, so we do this as this is the journey to something better. Things may be difficult, but we're getting to something better, and that's our Lenten journey. So start it with us.
Wow.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I'm made of fairy dust.
Yeah.
I've heard I've made of stardust, but
Yep.
never fairy dust. So
Yeah.
you mind if I use that?
Go ahead.
When I'm out and about in the world? Okay,
You
very
should
good.
do it.
It's way better than snips and snails and puppy dogs, right?
Yeah,
Boys,
no.
boys.
Yes, yes.
I haven't been able to work that into a liturgy yet, but don't dare me. I'm Bishop Durrell Watkins, and let's queer up students and youth culture. California battles feds over trans student privacy. California is taking the Trump administration to court in a high-stakes fight over transgender student privacy and billions of dollars in federal education funding. State Attorney General Rob Bonta has filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Education and the federal government in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California. The suit challenges a federal threat to withhold approximately $4.9 billion in annual education funding tied to California's law prohibiting the forced outing of transgender students. At the center of the dispute is Assembly Bill 1955, signed into law in 2024. The law bars schools from requiring staff to disclose a student's gender identity to parents without the student's consent. California argues that federal officials have misapplied the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. According to the complaint, FERPA does not require schools to affirmatively disclose a student's gender identity or pronouns to parents unless there is a valid records request. Federal officials demanded several, quote, corrective actions, end quote, including assurances that districts may adopt parental notification policies, warning that failure to comply could result in the loss of all federal funding. In a recent development, U.S. District Judge Noel Wise granted a temporary restraining order blocking the federal government from withholding funds while the case moves forward. The temporary restraining order will remain in effect until the court decides the case on its merits. California's lawsuit seeks a declaration that the demanded corrective actions are unlawful, along with preliminary and permanent injunctions. I just think it's super important to remember that students are humans, and people have, they have agency. We're talking about their identity. We're talking about their body. We're talking about their safety, and outing anyone for almost any reason can put them in great danger.
Exactly.
Whether it's about being, lesbian or trans or non-binary or even just questioning. I'm trying to work it out. There are families that will not be supportive. There are families that will be abusive. So this is outrageous to me. Sometimes I remember in school that I was someone at school that I wasn't necessarily in church or at home or whatever, because that was the place I could try things on. I could test boundaries or whatever. And so, yeah, it is cruel, which is on brand, but it is cruel that they would try to take away youth safety by saying, do it our way or we'll out you. And if they don't comply, then we're going to, mess with your education.
Yeah, I mean, that's extortion, first of all. And to deny these young people their right to privacy, I mean, you're absolutely right. Sometimes the safest thing for a child is to not let their parents know.
As a school teacher, I feel that I could really speak to this. Students come to school because in a lot of cases, maybe not all cases, but a lot of cases, it's their safe place.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do, these meanies, these MAGA Republicans, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take away any safe refuge that these students have.
Yeah.
And they want to create a world that is hostile. They want to create a world in their image because they interpret the Bible, they interpret whatever their preacher is saying. They interpret these things in such dark and hellfire, brimstone kind of ways that they want to make that a reality for these students, and they want them to live in the same hell that they're living in and projecting from. And I think that ultimately, in the short term, it might work, but ultimately, I don't think that it's going to prevail. And I do think FERPA is a very strong protection that we have. And if parents want to get that information about their students, there's a process, there's a protocol, you follow the process. But a teacher shouldn't have to call up a parent immediately and say, your student told me X, Y, and Z. That should be between the student and the teacher, or administration, however it's supposed to work. But it doesn't have to be something that needs to be disclosed, especially if a student is going to go home and face beatings, possibly, in worst case scenario, death,
Exactly.
These parents, these parents, they don't play. When they don't like gay people, it doesn't matter if it's their son or their daughter, they're out, because they have been so indoctrinated and brainwashed that they could turn their back on a family member, the one that they're supposed to love.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing. People have kids sometimes because it just happens. Just because someone is a parent does not mean they know what's best for their child.
No.
And I think that we need to get away from a parent knows what's best for their child. Many do, but many don't. And if you have a parent who's actively trying to sabotage a young person, they don't know what's best for their child. And, perhaps people who deal with young people all the time, like, Brian, you're a teacher. So you know better about what is best and not best for a child than many of their parents, because you see how they are living and interacting.
And if 33% of the country doesn't understand LGBT, gay, lesbian, sex, if they understand sexual, I would say 90% don't understand gender issues. Now, I realize that 99% of all statistics are made up on the spot to make a point, but it's true that I think many, many more people don't get gender stuff. And so even if I'm a good person, and I really love my kids, and I try to do my best, I might not be equipped for that information, especially without some, context.
I'm all about the process. Parents can know about their children, but follow the process. It shouldn't be that the school is a narc or a on your child.
And the teachers are put in a horrible position.
And the teachers are put in a horrible position because once a student discloses certain information about their identity, it becomes incumbent upon that teacher, based on what the Trump administration is wanting, is that they want a teacher to narc out their student and call the parent immediately and say, your student is gay, or your student is non-gender conform, whatever it is. That might be the place where they are able to experiment with exactly who they are as a human
And I
being.
want to apologize to the entire audience that we could not drum up any passion around this issue. But maybe next time we'll get excited.
Let me just say that California
No, we do.
is fortunate to have an attorney general,
Rob
Bonta, who's willing to challenge Trump and the tattered remains of the U.S. Department of Education. Unfortunately, here in Florida, we have a right-wing extremist, James Uthmeyer, or as he's better known by his drag name, Hope Florida. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's square up the USA View. Black History Month marked by loss. During Black History Month, the nation is mourning a towering figure of the civil rights movement. U.S. civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson has died at the age of 84. Jackson died peacefully this morning, surrounded by his family. A close ally of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and a two-time presidential candidate, Jackson championed voting rights and advanced his vision of a rainbow coalition for joint action against poverty, racism, police brutality, and other issues. A gifted orator, he inspired generations with his call to keep hope alive. Jackson stood with protesters after the killing of George Floyd. Asked what was going through his mind as he laid a wreath at the site, Jackson told Vanity Fair in 2020, quote, "It was, in some sense, the worst of the civil rights killings all over again, end quote. The family issued a statement after his passing saying, quote, "Our father was a servant leader. His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions," end quote. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani wrote that Jackson preached justice without apology. Civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton, who worked closely with Jackson during the civil rights movement, describes him as his mentor. Bernice King, daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., called him a gifted negotiator and a courageous bridge builder. Jackson's legacy includes historic presidential runs and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Public observances will be held in Chicago, and the final arrangements for Reverend Jackson's Celebration of Life services, including all public events, will be released by the Rainbow Push Coalition soon. Well, as somebody who grew up in Chicago, he was very much a presence throughout my childhood and early adulthood. And this is just, I mean, not that a person can time this, but the fact that he passed during Black History Month is just, it just gives it a little more weight. And I was reading that flags will be flying at half staff so far, that Illinois, South Carolina, New York, Delaware, and I'm sure other states will follow.
Yeah,
I doubt Florida will, but you know, he was larger than life, and he really was able to represent when other people were afraid. And I remember one time I was at a conference. It was an arts conference, and Jesse Jackson happened to be staying in the hotel. And so he came and he addressed the conference for like 5 minutes. And, you know, he's very inspiring because he's always been a proponent of equity. You know, not equality, but equity. You know, we're not all given the same tools. And, you know, it's a tremendous loss. The only thing I could turn to is the fact that he has inspired so many. So the inspiration is carrying on his work.
And it's so important that we do carry on his work because, like Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, Reverend Jackson was very much for economic equity.
Exactly.
You know, Dr. Martin Luther King used to say, what good is being able to sit at a lunch counter if you can't afford what's being served there? And I think that that's something that Reverend Jackson, you know, carried with him. You know, he really was very committed to making sure that people had equity in our society.
And not just Black people.
Not just Black, no, absolutely not. The working
Hence the rainbow.
The Rainbow Coalition.
Sure,
absolutely. So he will be missed.
I got to see him. First of all, the first time I remember seeing him was in 1972. I was 5 years old. He was on Sesame Street.
Oh yes,
right. And he sort of performed a poem, and he did as a sort of call and response. He'd say a line, and then all the kids would say, "I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am somebody. I may have made mistakes, but I am somebody. My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different, but I am somebody. I am black, brown, or white. I speak a different language, but I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am somebody."
That's wonderful.
And so that's burned into my memory on Sesame Street. Well, 8 years ago, on the 50th anniversary of King's assassination, Robert and I, Bishop Sweet Baby, Bishop Robert and I went to Memphis with some other people, and we were at the Lorraine Hotel, and all these great speakers, and here comes Jesse Jackson. He was already ill. By the end of his speech, he was clearly exhausted, and he sat down immediately afterwards. But even at that, he rose. He held on to the rail. He was on that same balcony when Dr. King got shot, and so here he's made this return. He's on the balcony, and he spoke so dynamically, and he ended it with this poem. So yeah, so I will always have like that for Reverend Jackson.
In the spirit of Sesame Street, he was somebody, and he continues to be somebody. Somebody that we should really look to and future generations should look to for inspiration.
Right.
And it's wonderful that he lived in a time where we had videos and speeches and
Yes.
writings
Right.
of his, so we can go back to those and we can really
preserved.
take inspiration from the greats that came before, and we really do stand on the shoulders of
Yes.
giants.
And he and Dr. King and, always so many others, Reverend Sharpton, they show us how religion can be used positively and powerfully for justice,
Right.
not just for trying to imagine what the next world is like, or trying to condemn people who worship some other way. No, you can use your faith to say, this is what the God of my understanding would want. She would want us to take care of one another and not let any ugliness go on or whatever. So these people are not only, they're not only like community leaders, they are actually doing what religion is meant to do.
Right.
God's work.
Yep.
I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up gay culture. Pride flag re-raised at Stonewall. Activists have defied the Trump administration by reinstalling a pride flag at the Stonewall National Monument in Manhattan, a landmark widely recognized as the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ rights movement. Just 3 days after the administration quietly removed the flag, community members gathered at Christopher Park to raise it again. The initial ceremony, led by Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman Siegel and State Senator Eric Bottcher, placed the pride flag on a separate pole, leaving it flying at half-mast. Some activists rejected the compromise. J.W. Walker and Josh Jaden took matters into their own hands, reinstalling the pride flag on its original flagpole. Walker told Gay City News, quote, "Our elected officials, though I love them, brought in their own flagpole and planted it in the ground in front of it, and their plastic pole was lower than the flagpole. So that resulted in our rainbow flag being lower than the American flag and not on the actual flagpole. The least we could do is put our flag higher on this cord than the American flag." The pride flag was first installed at the monument in 2022 under then-President Joe Biden. Angelica Christina, director of the Stonewall Inn Give Back Initiative, told Gay City News, quote, "I feel so empowered to say my community showed up en masse," end quote. She added that the community will keep fighting for future generations. So we were talking about this before we started filming, and I want to say, should the American flag be higher? Should it be lower? They're talking here that, that it was lower and that was an offense to them. And I just want to get everybody's read on
it's
that.
point counterpoint time.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think they should be at the same level. I don't think it should be higher
Okay.
than the American flag. I do believe that although there are times I'm not super proud to be an American, I do love my country, and I believe the American flag should always fly the highest. But I think the pride flag should at least be on its own flagpole next to the American flag at the
Why are
same
you looking at me? Why are you looking
at
at me?
the same height.
When I heard that it was at
Smell the steam.
Yeah, half mast
When
is
I
when
heard
somebody
that-
dies.
that
was
was
like
offensive.
who's dead?
That
Who
was
died?
offensive.
Yeah.
That kind of feels.
I thought that was to show respect for a particular person.
Yeah, like
Right.
if it's going to be a little bit lower than the American flag, okay, but at half mast,
Yeah.
like maybe at like quarter,
I'd like to see them
75%.
equal.
Now, I
Or
do
if
have-
it's on the same flagpole, right below
Okay.
the American
Yeah.
flag.
I do have a counter perspective. People get very annoyed. Not everybody, but some people get very annoyed when we call the hymn "Lift Every Voice and Sing." When we call that the Black national anthem, we have one national anthem, but that national anthem is about a people's experience
Exactly.
and about survival and about a dream. Walking through the blood of the martyrs and all that. It means something different to people who have been marginalized. And I see the rainbow flag in that same light. In fact, I wish it was the trans inclusive flag with this, the yellow and the circle. But we are a people, and we have a story, and we have a history. And to say, because this is my lived experience, I think it should take precedence for us. Not at the high school, not at the city council, but in our park. That's a memorial to us.
For sure.
Now, I probably wouldn't say anything if it was the same height or just below. Or I probably wouldn't even have noticed that much. But now that's brought to my attention. Oh yeah, in that park, right on top.
Well, this is, of course, another solid example of good people standing up to Trump and his Heritage Foundation puppet masters.
Yeah.
Christopher Park, by the way, has a South Florida connection.
Is it Christopher Street Park or
Christopher Park is the name of the park.
It's right across from the bar.
Leslie and Beth
Yes.
statue?
So the connection is that the lesbian couple featured in the George Siegel sculpture on the bench are the late Leslie Cohn and her wife Beth Susskind, both of whom lived in Miami in recent years.
Wow.
So
Yeah, and they owned
a lesbian bar.
that
in
was
New York.
world famous, the lesbian
I know
bar in New
there were a
York.
lot of lesbian bars. So
We're talking
New York,
about
yeah.
in the 70s and 80s,
Very cool.
you know.
So we have that connection.
Yeah, I smoked my first and only like one of 4 cigar in a lesbian bar in Dallas, Texas. That's a true story. But
I can assure you, cigars are not common.
What I do love is the peaceful protests and the determination, and that there are even people in government who are supporting it.
Yeah.
This is really, for me, an uplifting and heartwarming story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm Cindy Brown, and let's queer up lesbian and queer women. Fear of violence drives gun ownership rise among queer women. More queer women, particularly lesbians, are choosing to own firearms, citing fears of political hostility and violence linked to the MAGA movement. The conversation has been amplified by pop culture. The Hunting Wives, starring Brittany Snow and Malin Akerman, portrays gun-toting women in a fictional Texas town. The series, released last year, drew criticism for being outrageous and provocative. Real-world events, however, are driving deeper concerns. Last month, tragedy struck when Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother, wife, and U.S. citizen, was shot and killed in Minnesota by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent. The incident sparked protests and conflicting responses from lawmakers. Writing for Slate, journalist Christina Carterucci observed, quote, "Some queer friends are learning to handle firearms, or purchasing new weapons, or researching rifles for defense. Together, we talk through worst-case scenarios that would have seemed fantastical just months ago, imagining ourselves into a million futures that seem possible and unthinkable in equal measures," end quote. Reports from The Guardian and NPR indicate similar trends among LGBTQ Americans. Yet advocates warn that increased gun ownership is sometimes weaponized rhetorically, as seen in debates surrounding the death of Alex Preddy, where his firearm ownership became a point of political controversy. Now, I can see how, especially women, are feeling that they need to have guns to protect themselves. I've thought about it. Someone would take it away and use it on me so quickly. I don't think I would be a gun owner. But there is definitely concern. Sure. And there is reason to potentially
100%.
buy a firearm. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if there's going to be another civil war. Yeah. But we do know that a lot of folks that do not share our values are major gun owners. Sure. And, you know, people are at risk.
You know, I don't feel very comfortable when men have these big guns, but when a lesbian has a gun, for some reason, and I might be making a generalization, but I do have to say when a lesbian has a gun, I feel safe. I feel like lesbians, by and large, come prepared when I go camping, when I'm out in nature.
That's right.
They are stronger than the men. They are more able, they are more agile, and they think things through a little bit better than the men do.
Yes, I too would feel safer living in a world of pistol packing, post-menopausal lesbians.
I love that.
Give them guns!
Yeah, absolutely. You know, from a spiritual perspective, and since we're here with Durrell, I do want to say, from an Eastern philosophy, like with the Tao Te Ching, it says that when you own a weapon, it's because you want to use that weapon. So there's no point where people say, at least in my understanding, that I'm just going to use this for self-defense. And maybe that is what they are going to use it for. But when you own a gun or you own any kind of a weapon, it's because in the back of your mind, you project yourself using it. And I think that creates a cycle of violence. I think just owning a gun prepares you to use that gun.
I'm not at all prepared to challenge Lao Tzu, but I mean, he was pretty wise. But and I don't know that just having it means that you want to use it, but I do know, and I've heard this from gun owners, you shouldn't have it if you're not willing to use it, which is why I couldn't do it, because I can't imagine me doing that.
That's probably the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm not super judgy. I used to be even judgy about people who did it, but now when people are at risk, I'm like, okay, maybe you've got a point, but I couldn't do it. But that's just about me.
I wouldn't want to live in my little apartment. I wouldn't want to live with a gun in my apartment.
Yeah, me either.
Not because I'm afraid it's going to shoot me without me using it, but because I feel as though I'm living with an energetic object that is meant to take a life. And it's,
what's that famous theater quote? If there's a gun in the first act, then it goes off, that has to go off in the second.
Oh yeah, on stage. I thought you meant in the audience.
Well,
it's true. I'm Bishop Durrell Watkins, and let's queer up politics. Lincoln Project co-founder Rick Wilson calls MAGA a rotting carcass. A prominent conservative strategist is making waves with a blistering critique of the MAGA movement. Rick Wilson, author, political consultant, and co-founder of the Lincoln Project, argues that the culture war has already been lost by Trump's base. In a blog post tied to Super Bowl weekend, Wilson described what he called, quote, the rotting carcass of the MAGA era, its shrieking insecurities, its pathetic resentments, its festering hatreds, and that distinct metallic tang of panic rising in the back of its throat behind the soft waddle, end quote. While acknowledging what he called a terrifying moment, Wilson wrote that the evil men at the heart of this evil movement are not invincible. He said, quote, fascism wants to scare you into silence. But sometimes fascism trips on its own lies and absurdities and pratfalls onto its sneering face, end quote. Wilson also targeted Republican redistricting efforts, arguing that they are backfiring as Hispanic voters shift. He concluded that MAGA is a, quote, shrinking, shrieking rump of the American experiment, end quote. Say what you want to. He's a good writer.
He's got a way with words.
Yes, he is a wordsmith for sure. And it does show you, though, like a lot of just the mean, hateful, selfish, violent, cruel stuff. That's not what conservatism is. They call themselves conservative, but Rick is a real conservative. And you can be conservative and liberal. We disagree on, about taxes maybe, or about how we take care of people. Not that you shouldn't take care of people, but how are we going to do it? That's, and then you can talk about it and then you make compromises and things happen. Well, that system is dead.
Yes.
Right.
And it's because of this movement. Although this movement didn't come in tanks, we put them there. But in any case,
I did. Some people did.
The people who voted for them and the people who didn't vote at all, and possibly some illegal stuff that we can't prove. But anyway, that's not conservatism.
Right.
That is fascism. That is cruelty. That is evil. Because like when they say, well, we don't want the government to pay for this, but we also don't want other people to pay for it. Like we're going to cut federal funding to these nonprofits, or we're going to penalize if you serve these people. So what they're saying is, they're just people we don't think deserve to exist. That's not conservatism.
Right.
That's hatred. That's dystopian.
And it's mean.
Yes. Every week just I say the cruelty is the point.
It is the point.
It's the cruelty, and however, cutting HIV funding, cutting USAID, they were sending condoms to Africa. People said, well, why are you sending condoms to Africa? You're encouraging people to have sex. They said, no, what they're trying to do is they're trying to prevent the infection of new HIV cases in Africa. But they don't want that, because what they want is they want people that are not like them to suffer and to suffer.
And Wilson has been going after the orange malignancy for years.
Yes.
And I love
The title of his 2018 book is Everything Trump Touches Dies, which begs the question, when will he touch Russell Vogt and Kevin Rudd?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it is, and people say, and these are silencing techniques. Well, because you're wearing this, so you shouldn't talk about politics. No. I shouldn't endorse a candidate, and I never have. I shouldn't make contributions to political parties, or at least I shouldn't let the church do that. Never have. But when I see a woman shot in the face, it's not political to say that's a terrible thing.
Right, exactly.
And so, or
It's human design.
exactly. Or when I see people like, well, they'll have sex. Let them have sex. I have sex. You have sex. Like,
Right.
sex is a good thing. Like, I just hate that is a thing. Well, they're encouraging them to have sex. I don't think they need encouragement, but what they need to do is not die because of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
And did you see the MAGA people? They did a rendition, an AI rendition of Bad Bunny's halftime show. I was listening to an art historian commentator, and she said, these fascist people, they don't know how to make art, because when their art is solely focused on getting you to hate another person, it's not
art.
really art. It's not good
propaganda.
art. It's
Right.
propaganda, and it's dumb. And it's not dumb like, oh, you're so dumb. It's dumb because it doesn't hit enough of the emotional chords of what art is supposed to do. It's a one-note Johnny. And when you're just, doing something, based on AI, and you're trying to, make fun of a nuanced cultural phenomenon that happened with Bad Bunny, and you're going to, I didn't even watch it. I just saw some still images of it. It was such a one note of hate, and it was so, there was no nuance to it. And it's all about, making the Obamas look as though they're, with the monkey thing, and
disgusting.
just, making political opponents look as though they're subhuman.
This is what I wonder about, though, is because it's true about fascists, and it's true about fascists who don't call themselves fascists, and it's true of fundamentalists. They are allergic to joy. I don't know what it is. They are allergic to joy. They won't have it. They can't be around it. And I wonder why that is. But when they want to control people, they also try to extinguish their joy. So
if I'm not happy, you're not going to be happy.
But
Why should you get
if
it?
mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
I don't think they recognize that they're not happy. I think it's the way that they're systematically indoctrinated from the time that they're children in these mega churches, these evangelicals, these... I watch, one of my rabbit holes that I go down a lot is learning about different religions and cults and things. When you can't sleep at night, it's quite interesting to learn about.
Religion will help you relax.
Yeah, religion will help you relax. And I learn about these people, and the more that I see, they really do live in a black and white world. And I don't mean like it's right or wrong, although that's a part of it. It's really devoid of color. It's really devoid of joy.
And that's why I do what I do. Because you could oppose religion, and fair enough, or you could just ignore religion, and again, fair enough. But you also need, we learned this when we turned AIDS around, it takes combination therapies to get things under control. And so you also need people offering a counter narrative within the field or whatever.
Structure of religion.
And so, my way isn't the only way, but my way helps the other ways help, make things different.
I think what he's talking about here is that he's the perfect example. There are so many conservatives, real Republicans, that it's plain as day to them. They may have voted for him even the second time. But now
confuses me.
But now things are starting really to get worse. U.S. citizens are being dragged out of their home. Old man in his underwear in the freezing cold. You mean to tell me you couldn't wait 2 minutes for this old man to put some pants, some shoes, and a shirt on?
And everybody, if your foot is on American soil, you deserve due process.
Exactly.
The Constitution does. I teach U.S. history, and the Constitution does not say that citizens are entitled to the Bill of Rights. It's anybody that's in this country is entitled to the Bill of Rights. So when somebody says it's only for citizens, it's not.
What about humanity?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
Let's talk about humanity.
But just like they're allergic to joy, they are completely antagonistic to compassion compassion, empathy, being a person.
Empathy is a dirty word.
Wasn't it Elon Musk who said, or no, and I hate to say his name because it's very controversial, but Charlie Kirk said that one of the sins or one of the deficits or bad things that happened in America is empathy.
Empathy, he did say it.
Empathy. So I think we should have more empathy in honor of Charlie Kirk because wherever he is now, he needs it.
Right.
Well, and I would like to at least convince myself that I am somewhat different than that. And so, I was sad that he was shot.
I was too.
I was also
too,
sad that people.
I wasn't surprised.
But I was also sad that then people wanted to canonize him when he had been a very mean person. It may have been performative, but it had the same impact in any case.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that nobody deserves, I just want to be very clear about this.
No one.
It doesn't matter if you're the worst of the worst, neo-Nazi on the street or whatever. I might dislike you immensely. I might disagree with absolutely everything that you say, but nobody deserves to be murdered or shot or assassinated. And, my heart goes out to his family, his community of people, and I just hope that we can build a better world together. The religious people, the non-religious people, everybody can, come together and just know that, that is not the way to handle things.
So rotting carcass, yay or nay?
Yes.
Hell yes.
Carcass.
And
those worms and maggots.
And the ayes have it. LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Netflix CEO shuts down woke garbage claims. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has denied claims that Queer the Military Drama Boots was was canceled due to backlash from the Pentagon. Speaking to Variety, Sarandos said that the cancellations are based on viewership and cost, not politics. Sarandos called the decision, quote, heartbreaking, noting Boots was the final project from legendary producer Norman Lear. Despite Pentagon criticism labeling the show woke garbage, Boots found a loyal fan base. The series stars Miles Azier and is streaming now on Netflix. Let me say this about that. First of all, it's Norman Lear. Could we just just out of respect for a legend, try to give it a second season? Second of all, cost my ass. Because if things cost too much, you trim the budget. You don't have to kill a thing. Hire less extras. Film it in Canada. I mean,
your background.
I'm saying, there's you can cut costs. Right. There are. Let's see. Do you remember the movie Party Monster?
Yeah.
They made that on $700,000.
That was a great movie.
They made that on $700,000. So I'm saying, people who don't have a lot of money starting out, they manage to make great art. So, bullshit. So yeah. And second of all, sometimes the thing is just so great, it's the cost of doing business. It's just worth it to do a thing. Now, that's a harder sell. But if it was about money, there are ways to spend less money.
Well, hopefully, another network will say, I'm going to pick this up. I mean,
that happens
the South Park guys, they created their own place to have their show because Trump tried to penalize Comedy Central. They said, you're not going to get rid of South Park. We're going somewhere else.
I think it's so disingenuous to say that it's not about politics. I think in this day and age, everything is about politics.
Yes.
Everything is political. And I think that if you're going to cancel a show about gay people in the Pentagon, especially in the climate that we're living in now with such anti-gay zealots at the helm, to say that it's not political it's just a flat out lie. And I can smell that from a mile away.
Especially since it wasn't preachy. What it says is there's this human, and it's based on a real story, there's this human who is gay who is in the military.
Right.
That's their story. That's woke garbage. But it's telling man's story.
In their world, gay people wouldn't be in the military because Don't Ask, Don't Tell wouldn't have been repealed, or there would have been gay people, but they would have been so afraid to come out.
When he is. The guy is. That's the thing. It ends with him staying in the closet.
Right.
Spoiler alert, he stays in the closet.
And before he labeled it, quote, woke garbage, unquote, I have a sneaking suspicion the tattooed circus freak Hegseth shot multiple loads while watching Boots.
Oh, I'm going to stay away from that.
Okay. Ooh, well.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Pornhub searches spike after halftime show. Pornhub reports a dramatic surge in searches following Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show on February 8th. The platform says interest in football-themed fantasies jumped sharply, with Super Bowl searches up more than 5,600% over last month. Related terms like jock rose more than 4,200%, while horny college jock increased nearly 3,000%. Latino-focused queries also climbed, including amateur Latino, Latina solo dirty talk, and tattooed Latino male.
Ooh.
Does anyone have access to Pete Hegseth's to his Pornhub search history?
Oh my
Just
God.
curious.
Yeah.
Well, just from what I see, and I don't really look at too much porn on the internet, of course, but I do notice that it seems like it's all made in South America these days. So I wouldn't know the difference between, like searching it out and it finding you. Because the minute you open up one of those websites, that's what you're getting.
100%.
So.
Yeah.
But also, this shows you that repression doesn't work. That you could say all these mean things about gay people. You can say all these mean things about, you can't even say gay in school and, whatever. And you can call, if just having a gay person in a storyline, you can call that woke. You can do all of that stuff. And yet, a party, I won't say which one, I don't even know which one really, but a party has a convention and just shuts down the internet because they're, and then, during the halftime that was just absolute porn, and they were going to have this dreadful counter thing, but here it's just the world is just lighting up with looking for, and very specific porn. I mean, looking for 4 foot tall, 73-year-old bisexual. I mean, it was so specific.
Yeah.
Well, the show was overtly sexual.
It was erotic.
Yeah.
It was erotic, and that's a good thing.
Well,
Especially
I know Bad Bunny show?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you didn't understand the words. There was a lot of crotch grabbing and ass.
I think because
it's called dancing.
I think because we live in South Florida, and maybe because I'm a native here, I'm immune to, I'm blind to
It
that.
was not obscene. It was erotic.
No,
it was not
erotic.
obscene. It was not obscene.
Yeah.
And, I've seen porn.
You have?
I've seen porn. I know people in porn. Mr. President, that's not porn.
That's
that is not porn.
Right.
And it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was well done. It was artistically masterful. Mm-hmm. And if you can make porn like that, those numbers will even go up.
That's right.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA View. Anderson Cooper exits 60 Minutes. Out journalist Anderson Cooper is stepping down as a correspondent for 60 Minutes after 2 decades. His departure marks another shift at CBS News under editor-in-chief Barry Weiss. Cooper's exit was first reported by Breaker while continuing to host on CNN. Cooper had long contributed to the CBS program through a network partnership. Cooper said, quote, "Being a correspondent at 60 Minutes has been one of the highlights of my career. I got to tell amazing stories and work with some of the best producers, editors, and camera crews in the business. For nearly 20 years, I've been able to balance my job at CNN and CBS, but I have little kids now, and I want to spend as much time with them as possible." In other words, he's getting out because Barry Weiss got in, because there's been a shakeup at CBS, and it is now MAGA light. It's not as bad as Newsmax.
Nothing's worse.
Well, nothing's worse than Newsmax. Well, anyway, but CBS is slowly becoming what did Fox News used to call itself if it doesn't already, fair and balanced? And that was just another word for saying we're going to tell you politically incorrect things and call it balanced. I think that's what CBS is aiming for. They're aiming for a broadcast station in the model of Fox News. In a certain way.
Which is disappointing.
I don't think they've gone full hog yet, but Barry Weiss is making a lot of editorial decisions at the news desk. And she's, she's really censoring out a lot of voices. There was a group of employees there I saw a while back. All of the black employees were fired from the production team. All of the white employees got to stay. Coincidence? I'll let you be the judge.
Anderson Cooper continues to make our community proud.
Yes.
While Barry Weiss heaps piles of shame on our community.
Well-
bad lesbian, bad.
Bad
Well,
lesbian.
I just want to shift to Anderson Cooper for a minute instead of CBS and say, good for you.
Yeah.
And enjoy the time with your children.
Yeah.
You
Your
are
hot
such
Brazilian
a
husband.
busy,
Yes.
you're such a busy man. And this is a very positive step
Yes.
to the growth of your family. And I want to say congratulations for leaving 60 Minutes and enjoy every second with your children.
And he framed it as I love that he framed it as a family values decision. And I'm usually pretty cynical, but not about this. Because if I'm working in an environment that I hate, I'm not going to come home and be my best for my kids and my husband. So it's, so I think it was pro in a way that, yeah, I'm doing this for my family. And so
Self-care.
Yeah, self-care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, you know, that he has two jobs, that he walked away from a lot of money.
He's got a lot of money. His mom was Gloria
I'm
Vanderbilt,
saying.
so he doesn't need the money.
But can I just say, you know, the more time he could spend with his
kids,
child and his hot
absolutely.
husband,
The
do it,
better.
do it,
Yeah.
because he's hot. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to say.
That's what's important.
That's what's important.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up lesbian and queer women. Girls Like Girls hits the big screen. Hayley Kiyoko's Girls Like Girls has come full circle. The RIAA Gold certified anthem now inspires her directorial debut, arriving in theaters June 19th via Focus Features. The 2015 music video, co-directed with Austin S. Winchell, drew over 161 million YouTube views and later became a 2023 New York Best Time selling young adult novel. The film stars Maya DaCosta and Myrna Malloy. Kiyoko added, quote, "There's no female anthem for the girl stealing another guy's girl. And that is the coolest thing ever," end quote.
Yes, it is.
So this, you know, I'm looking forward to checking this out on June 19th. You know, I love it when we can see ourselves in the media and fun stories. And this is something that, you know, we've known since 2015 and we've watched it evolve. And it's wonderful when a project can go from a music video to a novel to a movie. Yeah.
It was a great song. I mean, I was, you know, having fun with that song, even though it wasn't speaking to my experience as a gay guy. But I thought it was a great song, and I'm happy that they're having success with that. So.
Right.
It seems fascinating. And plus, and this is so shallow, but they're so cute. I
really
love cute couples. I do. I love cute couples.
Yeah.
Love is love. And I'm awaiting my confirmation on my interview requests with Hayley Kiyoko.
Oh, wow.
And Zach
Oh, there you
Braff,
go.
who plays the dad. So,
Okay, you heard it here.
we'll talk later.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. Philippine Supreme Court affirms property rights for same-sex couples. The Supreme Court of the Philippines has issued a landmark ruling affecting same-sex couples. In a decision put into effect and penned by Associate Justice Joseph Lopez, the court said partners who live together may be recognized as co-owners of property if there's clear proof of actual contribution. Because same-sex marriage is not legally recognized, the court said such disputes fall under Article 148 of the Family Code, which requires evidence of contribution. The ruling stemmed from a property dispute in Quezon City between two women who bought the property during the relationship and registered it under one partner's name. The court awarded the petitioner a 50% share and the right to demand partition. This is really good news. First of all, that they were an out couple and that they had this this conflict worked its way through the courts. So that shows you the importance of coming out. That's the first step.
Right.
That's the first. And then now because we're out, we have this property together. It didn't work out. How do we do that? You build on that. I think this may be the second step toward marriage equality that they may have in the next 3 or 4 years. Right. And this couple, or now sadly ex-couple, will have started the engine that got that going.
Yeah. Their relationship didn't work out, but they paved the way for couples in the future to have that equity
It's a very religious country, the Philippines, so I have to say God works in mysterious ways. Maybe he brought them together so that they would get a divorce, change the courts, and
Exactly.
make history. So, you gotta, glass half full, glass half empty. You be the judge of that. So,
Yeah, see, my glass is usually half full of poison.
Oh my gosh.
Does Rick know that?
my universe isn't that orderly that I don't know that it's all pre-planned, but it's I think it's a good thing. So we in our country, one little legal battle at a time is how we got the big thing 100 years later. So yeah, I see this going in the right direction. Please God.
Right.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must be able to tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Bishop Durrell Watkins, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Gregg Shapiro, Brian Bender, and Cindy Brown. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you a good night.